Hello there. And we are live. So, yeah, ladies and gentlemen, you are welcome to another episode of my brother. Yeah. See,
Your
people, yeah, I
12-foot
don't want to
tall
say
brother,
what
yeah?
I was laughing to backstage, yeah, but Dom is a legend. That's the only thing I could say. See, people, you're welcome to the Arsenal Clinic with Dom and Claude, my brother. See, Dom, you're welcome to the show. How are you doing? Talk to the people.
Yeah, all good, mate. All good. Big couple of weeks coming up for Arsenal now. Big pivotal weeks potentially in the season. So, bit nervous and excited about it. I think would be the sort of phrasing I would use.
I hear you, Dom. See, Dom, me and you haven't done a show for a week now. So this is the thing. We never talked about that the other league game we had, the last one we had.
Brighton.
Against Brighton.
I was there. I was in the away end.
You were there, yeah. So that, yeah, you were there, yeah. See, Dom, yeah. Give me what you thought of that matchup. You were up close in that match. You were at Amex Stadium. I mean, all through when I was in England, I was never at the Amex Stadium. What was it like for Arsenal to get that win on the day?
It was a really important win and a really, important day potentially in the title race. Obviously, City dropping points at home to Forest, and Arsenal going to a tricky ground at Brighton. Look, Brighton, came into back at 2 wins, but haven't been in the best of form in 2026. But they're a side that I think are really well set up to play against the likes of Arsenal and City. So it was one where we also went there with, no William Saliba there either, captain's missing, although he's not on great form, and Arsenal had to go there and get the win, and they did get the win. It wasn't a great game. Evening Drew. It wasn't a great game. Arsenal getting the goal early, you can say it's lucky because it's a deflection. But I always felt Arsenal in control of the game. I know they were criticised for, they didn't get the ball back in play quickly enough. Well, to be honest with you, we've got the ball in play something like the 6th most amount of time this season, Brighton 17th. The ball also went out of play more times for Arsenal than it had in any other match this season. So, you have to provide context to these things. But the reality is Arsenal didn't push it. They didn't go seeking to kill the game, but nor did they have to. I think they realised very quickly and very early in the game that Brighton weren't going to pose a threat. They really didn't. They had the one chance early on where Raya gave the ball away and Gabriel headed it off the line, and there was one other save Raya had to make. But otherwise, Brighton offered nothing. It was very similar to the sort of Chelsea game in the semi-final of the League Cup, where Arsenal essentially were winning 1-0 very well from that game from kickoff because they had to win from the first leg. And they just didn't need to do anything. And I think it was a conserve energy game with bigger and more important fights to come. But equally, that attack hasn't been fine for a little while, and that would be the only concern coming out of the game. But honestly, in the crowd, I wasn't nervous at all. I know lots of people watching telly were nervous. Maybe it was the beer talking, but you just never felt Arsenal conceding in that ground. The away end was incredibly relaxed and in full voice.
Ooh, okay. That's interesting. See, people, my brother Dom actually went down there to the Amex Stadium. He was there live. He sent me some videos. I mean, I'm not gonna post it on YouTube anyway, but I heard my guy chanting. Just having a nice time, having a nice day down there at the Amex Stadium.
Dom, if anyone's interested,
you guys were chilling. While you guys were chilling down there, we out here were fretting. People like Drew were like, "Oh my God, where are we? What kind of football are we playing?" See, Dom, yeah. I mean, we have to talk about the elephant in the room. Yeah. Every single rival fan out there has something to say about the way Arsenal is playing. Even fellow Arsenal fans, like me and you, are actually saying that the way we're playing is scrappy. There's one word flying everywhere right now, and it's called boring. Boring Arsenal. I mean, taking us down to George Graham football or whatever. But again, every single rival fan out there I don't know if it's jealousy. I don't know if it's because Arsenal is top while they are actually scrapping for the points to get to our position. But when you look at the way we're playing, maybe it's a bit ugly. Maybe it's a bit, scrappy in a way. We're not seeing that free flowing football. We should admit that. You have just admitted that our attack is in fire on all cylinders and that we should get back. Victor Gyökeres scored 15 goals and that's over. He hasn't been performing since after those accolades has been given to him for some time now. The attack looks drab. There's a series of questions about time wasting, that's also resurfacing into the light again. And again, you were in that Brighton game. The report we got was that Arsenal only played that game for 60-something minutes. The remaining 30-something minutes was used for Arsenal to get back the ball, for Arsenal to get up back from injuries or whatever, David Raya, and all that. Where are you in this spaces?
I mean, just on terms of the time wasting really quickly, as I said, it takes two teams to get the ball in play, for one. Secondly, there are something like 25 or more games this season where the ball has been out of play for longer. And thirdly, as I said, Arsenal have had the ball in play for the sixth most amount of time in the Premier League this season, Brighton the 17th. So why is it suddenly coming up in this game? Well, yeah, look, we didn't get the ball in play much. But yeah, it is true we're playing boring, ugly football. It is not so fun to watch as a few years ago, but that's true of the Premier League at large, right? I look at it and go, the line for 19 out of the 20 teams this season is deeper. Now, 3 of them are fairly obvious. They come from being the best teams in the Championship to the weaker end of the teams in the Premier League, not the weakest. Their line is obviously going to drop, right? So 3 of them you can kind of take out the mix, but that's still 16 from 17 teams have got a deeper line than last year. Teams have got packed the middle of the box with those deeper lines, making it harder to play that free-flowing football. There is less transition football. There is more. It is more attritional football. It is back to Jose Mourinho, even mid-90s football, Alex Ferguson football at time. Football has come full circle, and people are trying to sort of get on this bandwagon. It's why I said a few weeks ago, I think the quality of the league is arguably down. Partly because it's less fun to watch, you're seeing less attractive football, but it's more competitive because actually 2-3 years ago when City and Liverpool were picking up 100 points, everyone tried to play like City and Liverpool. Well, that suits the better sides because they are better. If you want to reduce that gap,
they have better players, and they have better players. Yeah.
How do you reduce that gap? Well, you play more attritional football. You make it harder. You deny space. So I think all of that does impact the attack. And Arsenal certainly win ugly. They certainly don't play attractive football, but they're not alone. And the other converse of that is we scored 101 goals this season in all competitions now.
What the first premierships are to do that?
Yep. And it's partly because we're scoring goals in Europe where there is space. And we've seen when sides open up in both domestic, but mostly in Europe, Arsenal have scored goals this season. There have been examples where we haven't. Chelsea, for instance. Brighton actually did play, in fairness, a high line. We didn't exploit it. But we're the joint highest goal scorers in the Premier League. But it is true. It's boring and ugly to watch. Drew is spot on there. But I think that's just a football product at the moment rather than just an Arsenal thing.
Because I mean, these people, shout out to everyone who's watching down here. Please smash the like button and support us. Put some questions down here for Dom to answer, and of course for me too, if there's any. Dom, the thing out there, it's not like we should concern ourselves. Galatasaray is 1-up against Liverpool, people.
Oh yeah, but it doesn't count, Tony, because Tony, they're not really 1-up because it was a set piece, so it doesn't count.
People, yeah, it is what it is, yeah. But again, the noise is becoming louder, and since the noise is becoming louder, I'm not saying that we Arsenal fans should take in that information, but of course we have to discuss this information that that we hear. We have to discuss it. Dom, I mean, this rival team, yeah. I sincerely have a problem with how they are already characterizing this league season. Shout out to Aces. You don't always have the answers. Yeah, big up to my guy Drew. Drew is busting for tomorrow. Dom. I'm hearing rival fans saying that if Arsenal wins this league title this season, that Arsenal would be the worst. Dom, listen to me again. I think get through. Yeah. That if Arsenal wins this league title, that Arsenal would be the worst side to ever win a Premier League title, bro. I've heard it all. Yeah, that we would be the most boring team to ever win the title, and that this team would be the worst team to ever win a league title. Give us keynotes to this, bro. Where are you?
This coming from Paul Scholes, who was part of a Manchester United side that won the title with 76 points. Yeah. I mean, just saying. Look, who cares, right? Go back to the mid-90s. Some of that football was dull. It really was. Blackburn won playing this way. They played two up front. It was 4-4-2. United won it this way. Jose Mourinho won it this way. It happens. Football is cyclical, and we've gone back to that cycle again. Who cares? If you don't like playing football, we'll play a different way against us. See what happens. We've been criticised for years for being soft. Now we're too hard. What do you want? It is jealousy. There is some truth to it. The football, as we discussed a minute ago, is boring.
So it's jealousy. It's jealousy, right?
I think it is. Yeah. And who cares? We're playing by the rules and we're winning by the rules. You don't like it? Stop us. Find a way to stop us. But everyone else is playing in the same way. It's like the grappling in the penalty box the other day. Only Arsenal do it. Oh, no. It takes 30 seconds to find a clip online of every team doing it. Yeah. It's all of these things. It is annoying. I was talking about it last night on Rory's show where Seb was talking about it. And he was right that, some of this narrative is ridiculous. The issue I have is I don't mind rival fans doing it and bantering and going, you're winning boring, right? That's fan banter. But if you want to have an objective conversation about it, which is where the mainstream media comes into this, well, then I'm sorry, but you need to start addressing the facts in the room, not just selective facts like what we just discussed against Brighton. Yes, Arsenal were boring. Yes, they didn't keep the ball in play. But again, we're not the only one. Let's at least have the view here. Arsenal have scored over 70% of their goals from open play this year, but are we going to ignore that? Yeah, because let's focus on the 30% we score from set pieces. The narrative is boring and untrue and unbecoming. And if you have that narrative and you want to say that's the standard, that goals shouldn't be scored from set pieces, or you should play attractive football, does that take away every single win you ever have as a rival fan when you don't do that? Does that not count now, or is that okay? If you go down this road, that needs to apply for you, and at some point it's going to apply for you when your team is doing well. So be careful what you wish for here, and ultimately you win the title or you don't. It is a hard thing to win, and you win it however you can. And right now, we are on course to win it. There is still a long way to go. There is still potential for it to go wrong. But right now, who cares? Everyone is doing right? Very similar.
Yeah, exactly. Drew Gunners. Oh my days. Ace says Liverpool should be 3 or 4-0 down by now. Wow, really? I declare that badly.
I've not got it on, but looking at the stats, XG is just over 1 to 0.28 in Galatasaray, 6 shots to 5, 10 touches to each in the penalty area. So
is Galatasaray a big threat in this Champions League? Do you think they're potential dark horse in this race at all? I mean, they have a fellow striker, a fellow Nigerian, who's down there, Victor Osimhen. Very great. I mean, he's a great striker, fast-paced. Aerially, he's a monster. His hold-up play is something great. He brings in other attacking assets and other players into the gameplay and helps them score goals too. And he's that imposing figure you can have in the 18-yard box that could bully players around and score goals.
Yeah,
and they also have a couple of players who can get them there. How do you look at that team, though?
I mean, look, he's a good player. They've got players like Torreira, Yilmaz, starting tonight. Noah Lang, of course, was a big talent coming out of, I think, the Belgium league a couple of years ago. You know, they're a decent side, and at home they're really, really very intimidating, aren't they? Of course, you know, that atmosphere in Galatasaray. We know how tough that is. I don't think it's a shock. I said this to my mate who supports Liverpool just after they had the set piece goal. I was like, you know, I made the joke I just made just now about, you know, it's okay, mate. It doesn't count. It was a set piece, but it's not a shock if Liverpool lose this game tonight. But I think the reason Galatasaray won't win it is I don't think they're strong enough for one, but for a second, I just don't think they are going to be good enough away from home. I don't know what their form has been in the Champions League this year, so maybe I'm mistaken. But traditionally, Galatasaray do very well at home, a bit like Celtic. You know, so you know, in the mid 2000s, mid early 2000s, you know, they were very good at home but couldn't buy a away win. I kind of had that feeling against Galatasaray. Maybe I'm wrong. Osherman always gives you a chance, but I can't see them beating the likes of Paris Saint-Germain, Manchester City, Liverpool, Arsenal,
You think
Bayern Munich
Arsenal
over 2 legs.
someone like that?
Yeah, over 2 legs, 100%. 100% over
You
2
serious?
legs. Over 2 legs, 100%, yeah.
Wow.
Galatasaray.
Wow.
Yeah, Arsenal beat Galatasaray over 2 legs, yeah.
Okay.
You know, but if you played a one-off game in Turkey, that's a real leveler, as Liverpool are finding out right now. Because, as I said, that atmosphere, they've got the ability, they've got the talent. You know, it's a difficult place to go.
Very difficult place to go.
You know, they'll also play high tempo. Sorry, Tony. They'll also play high tempo, aggressive football. So, you know, they are well suited to playing English teams as well. They, you know, they're not afraid of that approach. So, you know, they do have that going for them. But I can't see that. You know, maybe they beat Liverpool. You know, maybe they're the surprise team this year. But I can't see them going on to win it. I'd be stunned.
Yeah, definitely. But again, this night they are like raking in the goal. So I mean, they're leading 1-0 at Galatasaray in Turkey down there. But Lord may continue. I need some of this English team to just get off the way in the Champions League because Dom, see, this is the thing. I'm not scared about European teams. I think these European teams are clowns and bums. But the truth of the matter is that this English sides in the Champions League, you know, are a bit scary for me. No matter the form of Liverpool, when they face Arsenal, they always turn up for the game. They always kind of like feel fired up for the game. So I'm more scared meeting an English team. But again, our pathway already shows us that we might clearly avoid you know, an English team. But
I think Tottenham in the semi-finals is the earliest we can meet an English team.
Is and if we beat them, I know we beat them. But again, Premiership sides always turn up for fellow Premiership sides in the Champions League. It has always been like that. It has always been very difficult. You know,
I want Manchester City to go as far as possible, ideally losing in the semi-final, because I think that adds extra pressure and extra difficulty to their season. You know, if you look at Manchester
so you want
City,
them to beat Madrid? You want them to beat Madrid?
Yeah. I want them to beat Madrid because then they've got Bayern, and then they've got to put out 2 strong sides against Bayern. You know, you look at their next, you know, and that helps Arsenal, right? It does.
That helps Arsenal.
If they get the rest in that week and get to, you know, then suddenly that helps them in the Premier League. So I definitely want them to beat Real Madrid. But you look at their fixtures at the moment, Manchester City. You know, it's going to be Madrid, West Ham, Madrid, then us. You know. Then it's going to be Liverpool, Chelsea, then us again, then Burnley. But if they go through between those Liverpool, Chelsea, and Arsenal fixtures, in theory, they're going to have Bayern Munich. I definitely want to insert those 2 fixtures between Liverpool in the FA Cup quarter-final and Chelsea in the league, and then Chelsea in the league and Arsenal in the league. I think that's where they sit. It might be between the Arsenal and Burnley game and the Chelsea and Arsenal game. I can't quite remember where they sit. But I definitely want them to have those 2 extra difficult fixtures. It helps us massively. The rest of them don't really care so much because they're too far behind to catch.
Yeah, I mean, I see sense in what you're talking about right now in regards to that Real Madrid Manchester City matchup. I was like, hey man, let's just bundle City out of this competition. But right now, with what you've just said, it makes complete sense. And I rubber stamp that idea. I mean, I rubber stamp it right now because I mean, it's not really that good to just bundle them out of the competition right now. That there's still more 8 games to play. Because if they go out of the Champions League right now, they still have a couple of games in the Premier League to say, hey, you know what? Yeah, we've lost out of the Champions League. Let's make sure we don't lose the Premier League. So
exactly,
I don't want that kind of resurgency. I need them to believe that they can get higher in the Champions League. Yeah, I really want them right now with what you said. Yeah, you've just convinced me. I want them to win against Real Madrid. Yeah, and then definitely have to put up a big side to face Bayern Munich in the
quarterfinals will be next if they get
right?
through.
Yeah, good. Yeah. So it gets hard. So injuries start piling up and fatigue starts setting to the team. And if they cannot beat ordinary, let's not say ordinary Nottingham Forest. If they couldn't beat Nottingham Forest, right? I mean, they still have other relegation battling teams to play. They still have to play Burnley. They still have to play West Ham. They're going away to West Ham. Definitely, that would be a potential banana skin, mostly with the fans behind West Ham as they try to jostle their way out of relegation. They still have Chelsea away from home. These are potential banana skin games, and they're all away from home. And mind you, they still have that critical game against Crystal Palace. Yeah, people think that's that's already a given. I don't think so. If they're not behaved, they're not beating Nottingham Forest. There's still a potential for them to lose against or draw against the Crystal Palace side. And don't forget, Dom, that they still have that last matchup against Aston Villa. And Unai Emery is a sore loser. I mean, he did that thing he did against Mikel Arteta by not shaking him. He did it in the other game, in the last game he had in the Premier League.
Wolves as well.
Against Wolves, who was beaten black and blue by Wolves. And he just ran through the tunnel and he didn't even check the manager. So, he's shameless. He wants all the points. He wants all the points. So he's going to face Manchester City and hold them on gunpoint to give him the whole 3 points. He's a shameless manager. So, and that's what I want. In fact, that's the kind of chaos, if you're an Arsenal fan, that's the kind of chaos you want happening between Manchester City and Aston Villa in the final day, in the final game of the season.
100%, and as you say, they've got that extra game they have to play as well, which isn't helpful for them. They've got an extra game, so let's keep the games piling up for them. And they've got some difficult ones, so have we as well. But the reality is, they do have a soft underbelly right now. They can be got at. We're talking about our attackers, our weak link, but again, 101 goals, joint top scorers in the Premier League. It's not pretty, it's not effective. And it's got to improve without doubt. But I'd rather have that issue than being able to be got at, because when Arsenal face teams, a lot of them seem to think if we open up, we get put to the sword. If we sit in, they might score a set piece. Now, most of them are going for let's sit in and make it difficult. And that's the right thing to do against Arsenal. That's what I would do against Arsenal. It's the thing we find hardest to do. Against City, they feel they can get at them on transition. And we're seeing it time and time again this season. And as you rightly say, Forest did it again, yesterday. Not yesterday, last week. So we'll see what happens. But, I don't think you can rule out City at this point. But, if we come out of the game against them in the league, I don't think they'll play Crystal Palace by the time we play them. And we still got a 7-point gap. That's when you start to believe.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah, exactly. That's
but not before that point. Yeah, but not before that point.
But again, see, Dom, even us playing against City away from home at the Etihad, bro, it's not even looking that bad. I think we can grab something in that game, bro. I mean, if Nottingham Forest can be getting something, from that game at the Etihad, surely Arsenal should be jostling for something down there at the Etihad. Do you feel it, brother? Do you feel it?
I mean, so far off, right? And we're going to play, it's too early to make predictions about that. But yeah, for sure, Arsenal, I think it'd be interesting to see where we're at in the table. Depends on how Arsenal approach that game. If you're 7 points ahead, then I do think there is an element of yes, you could win the game to knock them completely out of it, but I can also understand if we don't lose this game, then actually that may well be the better outcome for not the better outcome, but not losing is better than winning that. Yeah, sorry. Basically, if you lose that game, you can bring City back into it. So you want to, you take the draw all day long. So I think that will be quite interesting. But ideally, you go there, win, and that's job done probably. But that's easier said than done. But I think we've got to play them in the Carabao Cup final first. I think that's the one I'll worry about first. But for sure, you've got to feel you can get at them, and that they can be beaten. I think if you'd be very confident about scoring against them, and I think we feel we're good enough defensively that we can keep them out as well. So I made a bit of a butcher's arse of that sort of what I was trying to say there, but hopefully you got it, which is basically don't lose at Etihad is probably going to be enough, but ideally you win, of course.
Definitely. See, Dom, another one. I mean, let's go back to that FA Cup. Dom, congratulations. Arsenal is now in the FA Cup quarterfinals. What kind of life is this? Yeah, how can we believe in this kind of life? Who ever knew that Arsenal's life could be this easy? Dom, see, I mean, from getting this clown teams, see people, I'm not counting my chickens before they're hatched, but I mean, Bayer Leverkusen is as good a draw as you could ever dream of, in the Champions League. Let's get that corrected.
It's a winnable game. I'm sure we'll come on to it in a minute.
It's a winnable, exactly. That's the word. It's a winnable, very winnable game. And then we go into the Carabao Cup, and you see the kind of teams we're getting, and we're just gliding through this, gliding through that. In the FA
Tony,
Cup,
have you seen the conspiracy theory?
The FA Cup is a total mess. The way we're gliding through these teams, it's Portsmouth this day. It's bro. I mean, see, we got Southampton in a quarterfinals of the FA Cup. If we win Southampton, we go straight into the semi-final of a domestic competition, having already gotten to the final of the Carabao Cup. Perspectives, bro. Perspectives.
Yeah, look, I mean, have you seen the conspiracy theories, by the way, on this FA Cup?
They're all there. I mean, they're all saying that they're fixing it for Arsenal. Yeah, this is fixed.
Because Joe Hart, definitely, former Manchester City goalkeeper, he definitely thought, how can I hurt my old club? I know, let's deliberately find the Liverpool ball. Absolute rubbish. Look, Arsenal have been lucky with the draw, right? They've been lucky with the Carabao Cup draw up to the semi-final, where, of course, we got Chelsea, and we've been lucky with the FA Cup draw today. At some point, we're going to get a good side, because good sides will come through. In the Champions League, I think we earned that right, because we finished top of the group phase, and that gives you...
We won all our games.
Exactly. So we earned that right in the Champions League. But you get what you get, and Arsenal have taken advantage of that. But I also don't think we're going to win the quadruple. At some point, we're going to come unstuck. I do still think there is a lot in my view that beating Manchester City in the Carabao Cup is still crucial to how successful this season is for us. Because I think there's going to be two things that happen if we lose that game. One, Manchester City get some belief, but I think it's less important for them. More crucially, if we lose, Arsenal fans and the media and rival fans will all feel, oh, look, they've bottled it again. I think the phrase bottling is overdone, by the way. It's massively overdone. But that narrative will come out, and there'll be some validity to it as well, because you've just lost another big chance to win silverware. 5-6 years since you won silverware, etc., etc. There is some validity to that, but that will all come out. But more worryingly, I wonder at that point, does that seep into the dressing room? Conversely, you win that game, the players win together for the first time. Some of them have won trophies elsewhere. Some of them here when we won the FA Cup? I can't remember. No, probably not. No, I don't think anyone.
Bukayo Saka has won there.
Yeah, but he would have been. Yeah, but would he have been a? Would he have been a? I can't remember. Anyway, maybe Saka, but
I think Martinelli has won the cup too.
Martinelli might be, good shout. But anyway, very few of them been here when we won
Martinelli
a
has
cup.
won it. I
Yeah,
think.
Martinelli must have been. Had Saka made it through into the first team? I can't remember at that point. Yeah, he
He
must
was
have
at
been
left
because
back at the time. It
because
was
he
at left
came
back.
through under.
Sorry, it
He
was at
came through
right. It was at right. Was it right back?
left back,
It was
back,
at
maybe.
left back at the time.
But he came through under Freddie Ljungberg. He got his debut under Ljungberg, so he must have been. So those two maybe. Really should remember that. But anyway, we got there in the end. But they haven't won together. Conversely, as I say, you win that, and I think it could be it lifts some of the pressure off. It gives them that winning feeling. It gives them that understanding they can win things together, and that could be crucial to Arsenal. So I think that's going to be key. But I don't think Arsenal win the quadruple. But how great is it for the first time ever? We're in a position where we can be in March, and we're in the Champions League, we're in the FA Cup, we're in the Carabao Cup, and we're in with a shot of winning the league. It's amazing.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. See, bro, Mansfield Town. I mean, that game. I mean, we stank up the place in that game. Yeah. I mean, what a boring game, but it is what it is. We beat them at the end of the day. Off to the quarterfinals, we get Southampton. One standout character in that game was Max Doman. Brother, what a talent we have in our hands. Yeah. And again, especially right now where everyone is saying boring Arsenal, ugly Arsenal, set piece Arsenal, corner kick FC, Tony Pulis FC. And then we have one of the most technically gifted young players who ever grace the league at such a young age, playing for Arsenal, who is technically gifted, but more so, he's more aesthetically gifted to actually bring that kind of like lost aesthetic back to Arsenal football. In no way am I saying that Mikel Arteta can't invoke the spirit of the 2022-2023 season where he did play good football. And I really do understand the reasoning why you have to evolve as a manager and why you have to actually change your tactics, change your structure, change the way you play and how you perceive the game. I totally understand that. Mourinho found that out and got titles. So from that backdrop, I really do understand
to your point
that.
now.
But again, it's a lost art. That's a lost art. We don't play beautiful football. From now to the end of the season, do you see Max Doman coming in and helping us out with the aesthetics of the game?
I mean, I don't care about the aesthetics right now. I just want to win. But I mean, to your point now on how the 22-23 season was unsustainable, we saw Arsenal run out of steam, but we saw a Liverpool squad under Jurgen Klopp that was deeper than our version do the same in his last season as well. I don't think it's sustainable to play that football over 38 games and in multiple competitions. I just don't think it is sustainable. So it had to change, but as you know, again, it makes it more boring. But Max Dalman is a fantastic player. I've sort of the last couple of days videos for me have been on these youth players because of course Marley Salmon sold Mosquera short, but Mosquera is more at fault for their goal, right? He doesn't step into that. He has to step into that and clear that ball. You have to be aggressive and come for that ball. But equally, him, Dalman are 16. Mosquera 22, Miles Lewis-Kelly, Ethan Wanieri. I know Ethan's out on loan. These are young players. They are going to make mistakes. Now we have to mention them, of course, but I think we also have to have a little bit more of an allowance for them. But Max Dalman is special. He's absolutely special. I was thinking back through Premier League football in this morning's video on Dalman about how many 16-year-olds have come through in Premier League sides. And I was thinking Rooney, Alan Smith from Leeds, James Milner, Theo Walcott, but none of them came through.
Theo Walcott was 17.
16. Not 16. Well, he was 16, I think, when he made his debut for Southampton and started coming through and sort of being in the first team squad. But again, none of these were at big clubs competing for titles. Not even Bukayo Saka, who I think came through at 17, maybe, at Arsenal. Arsenal weren't competing for titles at that time. We weren't good enough. So it's one thing coming through that age. It's impressive, really impressive. And some of those names are really big careers. Alan Smith, probably of all of those ones that I mentioned, the one with the weakest career out of all those names. The only player I can think of that came through at 16 into a title challenging side was Lamine Yamal, who I think is on another level to Max Dalman. That's how hard it is. And now I know you can point out he hasn't played many minutes this season, but it's because he got a horrific injury in that under-21 game against Manchester United where he was on the receiving end of a horrid tackle. Otherwise I think he'd have played more minutes. I think it is crucial, and I think it's part of the reason we let Ranieri get out on loan was we knew Max Dowman was coming back from injury and would play a bit of a part. I think his ability to do something different to what almost any other player in our side can do, with the possible exception of Bukayo Saka, who does it in a slightly different way, but that ability to carry the ball, Trossard can do it to an extent, but to be able to carry the ball as effortlessly and as scarily as him is something I think is an important different option to have off the bench, particularly if you're facing low blocks. He can carry the threat to them, win free kicks, Jack Grealish sort of style at City. So I think he's crucial. And I made this point yesterday that, some people think it's embarrassing that he outshone all the other players on that pitch as a 16-year-old. And in some ways it's true. But equally, I didn't think some of our players had bad games, but some, and Mansfield made it difficult. But some players did. Gabriel Jesus, awful. Absolutely abysmal.
Atrocious, bro.
Absolutely awful. And that for him, it wasn't a system. Some of the midfield looked a bit disjointed, a bit disconnected because the system changed, and it got better when we went to our usual system. But I actually credit Arteta for that, because he basically went, who don't I want to play? Who does that leave me? Let's pick a system that means they're playing in the right positions, roughly. That kind of made sense. But the point I'm making here is that Max Dowman is special. So the fact he played better than other players on the pitch is more a credit to him than it says about the other players. It doesn't mean that they were awful or terrible, with the exception of Jesus. He is that good. He really is. Special player.
Yeah. I mean, you just touched on one of the leeches of our football club, Gabriel Jesus. I mean, see, in the summer, we have to start having a discussion about bundling these players out. Isn't it, Dom? I mean, the time has come for us to get the scraps out of this team, isn't it? Yeah, I mean,
I don't think there are that many left.
It's one thing to be on shows, and gloss things up. But sometimes we have to be brutal against some of these players that have not improved, that have not evolved. I mean, there's no bite to the game again. And Arsenal have single-handedly evolved more than those players have at Arsenal. Players like Gabriel Jesus, even bro, I'm even thinking that we might have to lose one of our attackers on the left-hand side to be able to go dip our hands into the market, free up the wage bill just a little bit to bring in an attacker, maybe an Exposito from Inter Milan. And I know you've seen him. There's conversations about him. I heard Mikel Arteta asked about him. There's also talks about bringing in a midfielder that should put a spell on if we should be keeping Odegaard in this team, because I'm hearing hard hitters. I'm hearing names like Anderson. I'm hearing names like Tonali coming in, and Arsenal being the front runners for his name in the summer. But again, when you hear all these things, what are the outgoings and incomings for you potentially?
I mean, obviously the most important thing is the right now, but in terms of the summer, I think it will depend on where the market is. Arsenal don't have a lot of deadwood. Probably the only deadwood that's still here in the squad today is Jesus. And I don't think he's a bad player, but as you say, Arsenal have moved beyond him. It's a bit like people say Zinchenko was a terrible signing or other players were terrible signings. What happened was Arsenal just involved a lot beyond them, because Arsenal have got better and some players couldn't keep up. Zinchenko was the right signing. He was a good signing for Arsenal. Gabriel Jesus, probably not because of his injuries, but you couldn't have known he was going to get that horrific injury that then led to one thing after the other. But, there are other players that fall into that category where it was the right signing at the right time, but the side has moved beyond. So he's probably the only one in the current side that falls into that category of must move on. We were talking, about whether we give him a contract a couple of months ago, an extension. And we said, I remember we both agreed it was a decision for the summer. Let's see how it goes. I think it's clear that that's not an extension. That's a sale if you can this summer. And I think he will be a difficult sale because his wages are big and his injury history is poor. But I think the other two that will need to go, I mean, Kivior, I count has already gone. It's kind of like Hincapié the other way around. It's a loan, but it's going to be made permanent. But are the two out on loan, which are Reece Nelson and...
How about Benjamin White?
Well,
Benjamin White is clamoring for game time, but
Well, he's got to
Now
stay
that we
fit first.
can,
He's
now
injured.
that we can give him game time, do you think we let him out?
Well, just quickly, because I'll come on to sort of players like him in a minute, but I mean, he's injured at the moment, so it's difficult to give him game time. But on the dead wood, there's Jesus, and then there's a 2 out on
Oh,
loan, right?
you didn't need to be that wicked on him, bro. Come on, man.
Well, it's true, unfortunately. I love Ben White, but
Why do you whip the man while he's down? Come on, man.
well, it's a brutal business, right? But sorry, just very quickly though, just finish off on Deadwood. The other 2 Deadwoods will be Fabio Vieira and Reece Nelson are out on loan. So they're the
Yeah.
3 I think we're going to struggle to get decent money for, but we need to get something for. If we can get
Fabio Vieira is looking good at Hamburg, though.
He's doing well. It's whether they can afford him.
He's doing well at Hamburg, though.
Yeah. But if we could get, 15, 20 million for Jesus and Nelson, and clear their wages, that's 350 grand off the wage bill. And then if you can get 20, 25 for Vieira, which is most of your money back, I know he's got a buy option clause for more than that, but I just don't think Hamburg will be able to afford it. But him doing well is really important. They're the 3 that I think are going to be most difficult. After that, you're into the realms of selling players that are still very good Arsenal players. Martinelli, for instance, rubbish in the Premier League, but done well in Europe, a useful squad player, and he's a different profile. So I think from that point of view, important to us. But he's one you've got to be looking at. If you get a good bid for him, you probably take the money there.
There's Arsenal have slapped prices of 100 million for players like Odegaard, who is not wanted in this team no more. I mean, that's slide true because maybe we didn't put that into factor as maybe a deadwood. He might not be a deadwood, but he's a captain that is unfavored in this Arsenal team.
Well,
and
again,
I don't think without him. Arsenal have slapped up 100 million pounds on him if Manchester United want him.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think he is unwanted in this Arsenal team. I think Mikel Arteta is a big fan of his. The issue for him is he's struggled fitness in the last 18 months and has struggled for consistent form in the last 18 months. So I think, I think he will sign a new deal, is the honest answer. And I think, Arsenal will.
Are you serious?
I think he'll get a new deal.
Sign a new deal.
I think he will be given a new deal. I'm not saying I would do it, but I think Arsenal would also be like, if a decent bid came in, Arsenal would consider it. I don't buy any store by what clubs say their asking prices because it's normally rubbish, absolute rubbish. So I don't put any store by it. It's a negotiating position. If I want £80 million for a player, I don't say my asking price is 80 million because I'm not getting 80 million. I say it's 100 million. So you do a bit of a negotiation. So let's forget that. But him, Martinelli, Trossard, they're the probably 3 attackers you're looking at could be moving on if we get appropriate bids. Ben White, Calafiori would probably be other players you're looking at there if we get, because of their injury history. But all 5 of them are very good players, right? So I think that's kind of, but whoever we sell, we should be able to get good money for, and we've got to be able to lose this poor selling tag. We're in a position now where we have good players, and it should change, and we should be able to generate good money. But I don't think we're financially we can afford to bring new players in. The problem is, where do you fit them in the squad? The squad is full, so I think by definition you have to move players out to get new players in. But I wouldn't also be shocked, by the way, to see one of or both of, probably not both, but one of even Nwaneri or Miles Lewis-Skelly moving on. Probably Nwaneri on loan wouldn't shock me. I'm not saying it will happen, but don't be stunned if one of them goes out on a permanent. And I do think Nwaneri will go back out on loan. And I think part of the reason you move Nwaneri out on loan is because, good a player as he is, he's probably not as good as Mac Dowman, and they're kind of competing for the same minutes in the same position. Yeah. So I think that is probably a sensible plan to move Nwaneri out on loan. Because that's what he needs, regular game time. He's at the point where he's ready for that, but we can't necessarily offer him that because of the quality of the squad. And Max Dowman takes his minutes, but I think whoever goes, we see replacements in. But we're looking to upgrade. But to upgrade now, we are going to sell very good players, and that's reality.
Yeah. I mean, if players like Jesus goes out again, I would like to defer from what you said. I think Odegaard, I think it's come to a standstill, and I don't think they're going to shoot swords with this pandemonium they have with Odegaard. His form is down. There's questions about his captaincy. There's questions about if he's evolved. There's questions about if he could really, really bounce back. Arsenal have had problems with players who have had certain kind of injuries in their careers in Arsenal, and they just go downhill from there. And the management will be looking at this kind of stuff, like what happened to Gabriel Jesus, who came to this football club with such, with such goals, with such aims after winning lots of trophies, with Pep Guardiola, and then he got some couple of injuries here and there, and he never really got that traction, never really, got us there, and never developed as a player. Personally, so that's a more bigger problem. So they might be factoring that into this Odegaard thing going on. That okay, he's gotten lots of injuries now. He's not coping quite well, and even when he comes back, it's always a stinker. That maybe it's time to actually just cut our losses. Also, with these players that go down to injuries, and it's so hard to actually get their glory days back. When they come back play, and that's a bigger problem. And again, Manchester United seem to really, really want Martin Odegaard. I think the serious about it. And if Arsenal is quoting up over £100 million, of course, with what you said, I totally agree with you. You have to come to the negotiating table and maybe negotiate it within the 65, 70 million pound area, and maybe that's something
maybe
okay for the football club, because there are people like Anderson who I think is a more better player in this league than Martin Odegaard. The ball carriers like Tonali, who's plying his trade at Newcastle and Arsenal, are front runners for people like him. I think this kind of people not only give us that depth we need in our squad, but they are also henchmen who could also start in that Arsenal XI and take us to places that we can only dream of. Because if we come off a win this season, adding those kind of players doesn't just add the gloss to the team. It also shows that, hey, we're serious, we're not bulking, and we want to keep winning.
So, I'd slightly, I agree in some ways, but not entirely. So I think the thing I would say there is the sort of players like Anderson and Tonali, I think you're probably looking at that being Mikel Merino or Norgard upgrades. And by the way, I'm a big fan of Norgard. I'm very happy with Norgard because he understands his place and role in the team and the minutes he's getting. But of course, if you're saying Elliot Anderson's quite willing to come in and fight for his place, and that means Norgard has to go or Mikel Merino has to go, then absolutely fine, of course. Same with Tonali. But they're different players to Odegaard. I don't think. I think there's probably
Tonali is not really kind of like subjected to the CDM role. He's a true midfielder, even in Italy.
Yeah, he's a number 8 for me.
Attacking spot, so it is what it is. But I just want to
correct that. Odegaard, I think, is in a 10, right? So you're looking for a slightly more attacking player in that position. So I think I think they're different players. So I think that's where you're looking at there. I think there's probably Raya, Saliba, Timber, Gabriel, Zubimendi, Rice, Saka, and that's about it that Arsenal would not look to sell at all.
Yeah,
like that they won't entertain bid. I think anyone else, if a right bid came in, they are available to buy. But you're going to have to.
I don't think Gyökeres would be available though.
Oh, I think if the right price came in,
you missed his name. Do you think? Really? Are you serious?
Yeah. If someone came in and said, "Here's 90 million for 100 million for Victor Gyökeres," Arsenal aren't going to say no. You're going to have to pay over what he's worth for him. Whereas someone like Martinelli, if you came in and said 50, 60 million, Arsenal are probably, I'm not saying you're getting that, but that was what the market was for players of his caliber last summer. So who knows? Then you're probably not having to pay so over the odds for players like Martinelli or White or Calafiori. For someone like Gyökeres, you're going to have to pay more over the odds. But I don't think it's beyond the realms of possibility that anyone goes beyond that list. But Martin Odegaard is on that list of, if the right offer comes in, it goes. But I think he is still the club captain. I think Martin, while externally there's a lot of criticism of him, and he will be disappointed with his performance. I don't think every game is a stinker. I think there have been some, but actually I think there have been games where he's played quite well. But because the narrative is he's not playing well, it gets overlooked a little bit. He does have to improve. I'm not saying he's playing well, by the way. But That's not necessarily Arsenal's view on him. I think there are only three scenarios where Martin Odegaard gets sold this summer. One, a stupid offer comes in. Second, Arsenal are concerned about his injuries and think it's not recoverable for him. Or there's an issue where he is not looking like he's going to sign a new contract at the value Arsenal want him to sign a contract for. They are the only three scenarios. I think Arsenal think of him very highly. We might not like him as captains because for us, we see the on-field chest-thumping captains. That's who fans kind of relate to. But he is very well respected in that group, and there are many different types of leaders. So I don't think Arsenal see him in the same way. What I do think Martin Odegaard needs to do is get back to doing what he was doing a couple of years ago, which is get closer to the centre forward again. That is the big issue with his form right now. He needs to stop dropping so deep to get the ball. He doesn't need to, because we have Martin Zubimendi that can do that job now, which we didn't have before to the same extent. And therefore, you need to stop doing that because things are different and you need to move forward. But that is, I think, something I think Arsenal internally and fans externally would agree on. But I'm not stunned if Odegaard doesn't go, but I would be surprised.
Definitely. And one name that you're leaving out of it, I'll keep reminding you, because in your analysis you're forgetting to a couple of players, but one name that is also in the chopping table post is Riccardo Calafiori. There are talks about Calafiori leaving the football club, and there are talks about him in the papers saying is missing home, is nostalgic feeling creeping up about Rome and the city and what he misses from the city, and that he might be possibly moving back home. There's this talks about him leaving, and again Arsenal I've not really come out to really solidify anything about it. They're just allowing that news play on. No one has come out to say he's a big part of our team and he's gonna stay or something like that. No one is saying anything. And again, his injury problems is becoming a big worry. Arsenal should be closing the deal anytime soon for Nkapie to make his move permanent anytime from this month or next month. So
that deal's done. Let's not pretend it isn't. But I thought I had mentioned Calafiori, but he's certainly in the same bracket as White with those injuries. But I do think, again, with those comments, Arsenal haven't come out to clarify them because, again, what's not being reported was what question was he asked. The question he was asked was, do you one day want to go back home and do you miss home? And his answer was, yes, I miss home. It's my home. I love Italy. And one day I'd like to go back and play for Roma, is essentially what he said. But the question he was asked was, would you one day like to go back and are you missing home? I'm slightly paraphrasing the question, but that was it. It's a bit like the footballs after Newcastle defeat last year in the semi-final. It was reported that Mikel Arteta blames the footballs for the loss. That wasn't what he was doing. The question was asked were, are the footballs different? And does that adapt the way your players have to play? To which he said, yes, the rules are different. They're slightly different in terms of how they come off the foot.
That's Caps, bro. He blamed the balls, bro.
No, he didn't.
Let's don't go there, bro. He blamed the balls. At the very end, that one, bro. That was an excuse. He blamed the balls. I'm sorry, bro.
Look at the question he was asked.
Pause. He blamed the balls. Yeah, he blamed the balls, bro.
He didn't. Look at the question he was asked.
He did, bro. Yeah, it's crazy we're out here talking about balls and all that crazy stuff.
But the point, crazy, bro. The point I'm making, though, Tony, is that sometimes only the answer gets quoted, and therefore the narrative becomes not what the question was, and it changes.
I hear you, but I still felt that was an excuse, though.
It was reported as that, and it could be interpreted as that, but he was specifically asked about the footballs, and his answer was about the footballs.
I hear you. I completely get you, bro. I completely get you.
And it's the same here with Calafiori, basically.
Yeah. So what's your final thoughts on that Calafiori thing?
I mean, Calafiori does need to stay fit. I think Arsenal. The concern with Calafiori was never his ability; it was that long-standing knee injury. It's why I've long said I don't really want to see signings that have significant injury histories. It's why I was anti-signing Pedro Neto last summer, not last summer, the summer before. But yeah, he's definitely an option to go again if the offer's right, because he can't stay fit. And I think next season, fitness is going to be a bigger issue for Arsenal and other sides, because they're going to put a lot of minutes into their legs this season, even with rotation, because of the amount of games they would have played. And it's a World Cup year. And we saw last year injuries were up. They've gone up again this year. It's a trend. And players like him, if they can't stay fit and the Premier League is more physical and we put a lot of demand on our fullbacks, that is a concern. The question is, do you keep him and go, right, you're Gabriel's backup now, Hincapié and Miles Lewis-Skelly are the left backs? That's another option.
Exactly. Dom, we have another issue we have to slightly talk about, and that person is Eberechi Eze. I hate to be the one to actually, critique these guys, but I feel he's had a bad season, to be very sincere with you. Yeah, I felt his season hasn't really been that good. However, he's bailed us out against Mansfield Town. Coming off the bench, scoring that great goal, amazing goals, by the way. I mean, he scored a hat trick against Tottenham Hotspurs this season, and then went back down to White Hart Lane, and the new White Hart Lane, or whatever that is in North London, and scored 2 goals again. Where do you see Eberechi Eze's season differently? Because I know some other fans see it differently. Some say, hey, maybe it's just because he was kept on the bench. Maybe he needed game time. There's a lot of these excuses out there. And to what extent do you want to see him playing that number 10 position going forward?
So I was excited by Eze because I think he's a different profile, gives us something to unlock teams with. And I think from that point of view, it's really, really exciting and signing from my point of view. And I think there's no question he hasn't lived up to expectations. I did expect a period of adaptation, again, because Arsenal is very different to Palace. There's a lot less space. He's playing a slightly different position. But by now, you would have expected him to make the adaptation because, he's coming from the same league. Most players we see transfer from Premier League to Premier League, if they're going to make it at clubs, adapt within that sort of 6-month period. We saw Kai Havertz do it, for instance. I know he moved position, but, whereas players from other leagues tend to take a little bit longer. Not always, but generally speaking. So he's definitely under-delivered on what we hoped he would do. But equally, he was always going to be a moments player. We just haven't seen enough moments of him. I also think that for me, he's not a number 10. He's a left winger. And I think should Arsenal move on from Trossard this summer, you don't look to bring in the Trossard player. You probably look to bring in, well, you might want to bring another player, but Eze is a natural Trossard replacement. I think he's best operating off the left, and I think he's well suited to having Hincapié behind him, because Hincapié will go wide beyond him in a slightly more traditional fullback role, and I think that will bring out the best of Eze. So I don't think his career's over at Arsenal. I think there is more to come. Well, hopefully, because it can't be much less. And I think he can still have a big part to play. He's also entering the part of the season where he does tend to traditionally be at his best as well. His best form for Palace came in every single season in the opening 4 or 5 weeks of a season and the last 6 to 8 weeks of a season. So hopefully that will come in. But I'd like to see him operating off the left more, where there's slightly more space for him to operate in, and it's more accustomed position. So I think I'm not done with Eze, but it's certainly been disappointing. I don't think it's game time either, by the way. He's had quite a lot of minutes.
Okay. But you like that goal against Mansfield, right?
Amazing good goal. Both goals were good, to be fair. Madueke's goal was pretty decent.
Definitely. Dom, our final question by Leverkusen. What do you think about that one, my brother? Before we go?
We're just going to say, sorry, someone just messaged me because they saw what I said in the debate about international duty last night about me being 12 foot tall and something else.
Oh my day.
I couldn't work out why my phone was blowing up.
That thing is going to stay in the internet for life, bro.
What was he going to say?
I laughed yesterday, oh my days, bro. That has to be one of the funniest moments on YouTube. I mean, this year, bro. I laughed yesterday, bro.
It was completely off the cuff. I basically lost my temper because someone made a point. I said, well, here's why that's untrue. Why don't you back yours up? Because I don't have to. I was like, and then I said something which was quite funny, but it was completely off the cuff. But I couldn't work out why when we were talking about Ezra, my phone was going mental. And I literally had 36 messages like, this must be important. It was just that. I got distracted on your Leverkusen question. We maybe put a link to it in afterwards for anyone wanting to check out what I said. But yes, Leverkusen. Ideal world, you win that game and you can heavily rotate next week ahead of the Carabao Cup. That's ideal world. But I think that would be disingenuous and disrespectful to Leverkusen, who are still a decent side. It looks like they're going to be out their star striker Schlick tomorrow. And I think in some ways, and I wish I'd said this in my preview, but I'll say it tonight and I'll say it on another live stream I'm on shortly. Instead, they're probably going to set up in a 3 at the back system. I think Arsenal work quite well in that because there's a bit of space between right centre back and centre back that Gyökeres can exploit. And I think Arsenal's wingers are quite well suited to that. I think this is a Martinelli game. Martinelli starts for me on that left to try and exploit that. And Leverkusen aren't quite the side they were. I think Arsenal will win in Germany, but it's not the end of the world if they get a draw. But ideal world, you win this, put it to bed and can rest 4 or 5 players for the second leg. To be able to sort of rest ahead of Manchester City, because we can't relax against Everton at the weekend. We need to keep the pressure on in the Premier League still and keep that advantage. And we can't really rest for the cup final for obvious reasons. So ideal world, we win this 3-4-0 tonight and can rotate for the second leg. But I think that unlikely. But I do think Arsenal can win this game. And I think us playing well in transition is going to be crucial tonight. I really do. What do you think? Disallowed goal, by the way, for Victor Osimhen.
I think Martinelli is key to that game. I think Martinelli is key to that game. You know, he's going to find those spaces. I clearly believe it. Yeah, mostly with this Bayer Leverkusen. And like you said, they're going to play 3 at the back. That would surely, that should open up space, for our wingers, for our natural wingers to just, play. Mostly with someone like Madike, who's going to cost Kios coming in from the right side. I think that is kind of game. It's going to cause lots of problems down that right-hand side and open up the game for maybe Aiden to just exploit a little bit. Martinelli too could also do that, drop his shoulder, find those spaces and encroach into the box while opening up very well for people like Gyökeres to actually come and have a say in the 18-yard box. And it is what it is. I think we go there and beat them tomorrow. I'm not saying it's going to be a 5-1, 4-1 dropping, but I see us winning. I see us winning.
I mean, I've got 2-0. I've got 2-0, Tony. I don't know what you've got, but I've heard people saying it's going to be like PSV last season. I mean, brilliant if it is. Amazing. Fantastic. I'm happy as Larry. But I don't see that being the case. I think Leverkusen are a significant step up from PSV.
Step up from PSV. Okay.
PSV, not G.
When you look at, I picture teams like Bayer Leverkusen. I picture teams like Bayer Leverkusen. You can see people like Nkapie ripped away from their team. People like the guy that went to Liverpool, what's his name?
They've lost Xhaka.
All these players ripped apart from their team. Who else? There's one other player that led by Leverkusen.
They've lost Boniface, they've lost Xhaka, they've lost Frimpong.
Yeah, they lost Boniface, they lost Xhaka.
Yeah, they've lost Hincapié, they lost the manager.
Yeah, exactly. You know, and again, they lost the manager. I mean, it is what it is, and they brought in that one that took over Manchester United. The former Man United coach, what's his name?
Ten Hag.
Erik Ten Hag, who was sacked after 2 weeks or something. Bro, I mean, it's ridiculous, bro. So, I mean, Bayer Leverkusen, I pity that team, completely ripped apart by these top clubs in Europe. And it is what it is. I think Arsenal would just go and do their thing. I don't think they have any marquee players to actually keep us at bay. The back three is going to be totally exposed to whims and caprices of someone like Martinelli. Going to just open it and rip it apart. Someone like Madueke is going to cost us down there. Sacrifice that will be more doomed for them. So I don't know. I can't really think of any picture where they are going to actually hurt us. And if they decide to take from the playbook of any of these teams, they are just gonna soak up so much pressure that they might bulk under the pressure. A thing like Wolves that can actually sustain, playing that kind of football for the whole 90 minutes. They can think up the plate. Just keep it low down there, yeah, and keep a low block and just think up the plate for 90 minutes. Wolves can do that, but teams like Bayer Leverkusen can't do that kind of a thing. At some point, they would definitely fancy their chances at home to actually come out and play. So if they do that, you know what the repercussions these teams get when they find the cojones to actually come out against Arsenal in the Champions League. They get hurt. They get hurt. This European teams, in it. But it's a different story in the Premier League. But in Europe, they can't keep a low block for the whole 90 minutes. They would have to come out. They're at home. They will have some form of belief to come and hurt Arsenal or hit us in the counter attack, and then we would always, find spaces to rip them apart. I don't know of you.
I agree. I think that's absolutely right. But what I would say is that, as I say, I think they are a better side than PSV were last year, which is why I don't see this 7-0 that people are talking about, that Arsenal are going to go and spank them. But you are right that they're not going to be able to keep Arsenal out for 180 minutes playing a low block, and they are probably going to have to. I think their best chance, and probably like 90%. If they've really got a chance, they're going to have to win this one at home. I think a draw or a win for Arsenal gives Leverkusen a massive uphill task to come to the Emirates and get through.
Exactly. Dom, what do you got coming up, my bro? I hope it has to be more streams that has to do with you being 12 foot tall, bro. Because I really want to see more streams like that.
Man annoys me.
Legendary, bro. Legendary.
But
yes, Dom, talk to us, my bro.
So I've obviously got, as advertised earlier, the Max Dellman videos out now. My funk soul brother, check it out now. There you go. You wanted me to sing? That's me singing. But yes, and then tomorrow's obviously the Leverkusen preview. But there'll be shorts out the rest of the week. I'm hoping I get home from parent teacher in time for the kickoff tomorrow. But I think I'm going to miss the first 10 minutes. Also, Liverpool have equalised, by the way, after Galatasaray had a disallowed goal. But yeah. I've got stuff coming up, and I'm live tonight on Footy Corner at 8:15. So,
okay, on your channel?
No, not on mine. It's on his channel. But he's we'll be talking all things Arsenal.
Things Arsenal.
How about you? You covering the game tomorrow, I assume?
Just before I answer that, Dom, do you still play football at all?
Yes,
Do you play football at all?
every
Because the last time
Monday
I
and
checked,
Friday.
you got an injury, and I don't know, maybe you backed out. I don't know, but
No,
what's happening with that? Shout out to the Waffle Don, my guy, Batman Robin. Me and Waffle Don. People, big up to the Waffle Don.
Are you two like Delboy?
Dom,
Are you two
I
like
have
Delboy
a
and Rodney?
great. Yeah. See, Dom, yeah, I have a great Monday night.
We gotta go.
See, Dom, I have a great Monday night show. I co-hosted together the Waffle Don. It's
nice.
called Monday Night Madness. Maybe one of these days I'm going to invite you, on a one-off to pop into the show and, be with the man and have a free-flowing argument. Lots of boxing matches going on around that show. So one of these Mondays, I'm going to invite. And again, you're one of those people that could actually read the punch in this space. If there's anyone who is mentally strong, Dom, it's you that I've seen, bro. You're one of the hard hitters. But the thing there is that you could be the cool guy, or you could be the completely crazy guy. So it is what it is. So
you have to really piss me off.
Show for you to pop in.
Yeah. No, you have to really piss me off to. You have to really piss me off to get me to make me go. Basically, if you make stuff up, then that will trigger me. That's pretty much what triggers me. But I do play football. I play football on Mondays and Fridays. But if I've got a couple of weeks' notice of a Monday, I can make sure we've got enough players for me not to play on a Monday. So, but yes, I try and keep fit by playing Monday and Fridays. Shortest centre half in the league, but I still win my headers.
Yeah, but you're fit to play now. Like the injury is gone, right?
Yeah, okay. I broke my ribs, so I missed 3.
Yeah, your ribs. Yeah, exactly. I didn't want to say it because of course, that was a personal thing. Yeah, I mean, I just hope the ribs are okay right now.
I've been back for 4 or 5 weeks, although I'm walking the suspension tightrope at the moment. It is possible that I did the ultimate in housery a few weeks ago. We were winning with a couple of minutes to go. So the first thing I did was boot the ball as far as I could, which caused me to be shoved. So from the resulting free kick, and it took an absolute age for us to get the ball back. I was like, from here, ref, like 10, 15 yards forward from where the free kick was. He's like, no, back. I was like, so it took me about 4 attempts to get the ball back to where it should have been.
You and Ateta, you are the same.
Well, Tony, it gets better. So ref went, no more, Dom, pack it in, take it from where it was. So I took it, and then about bearing in mind, there's like 3 or 4 minutes to go in this game. About a minute later, I make a foul, like no question, like no attempt for the ball, wasn't interested in the ball. Down you go. I can't have you scoring. And he's like, Dom, got to be careful. So I then stand on the ball and he's going, retreat now. I'm like, this far? And he went, no. So I take another step back. How about now? He's like, keep going. Like, absolute. At this point, I get pushed over again. I went, ref, come on, you can't have that. And then...
Exactly, mate. Exactly. And see, Dom, I hate to break this to you, but that Liverpool goal has been corrected by VAR. So Galatasaray win. It's still winning 1-0 in that game.
Both sides have had a disallowed goal now.
Yeah. So people, I'll be doing my watch along tomorrow for the Champions League. Our brother Josh hasn't spoken to me for some time about coming for the Champions League show, so I might have to do my own show, me and Baggett tomorrow. But if Josh reach out, then I'll be going down to his channel because I wanted to do Champions League entirely this season with him. But I thought he mentioned
Tony, I thought he mentioned yesterday, if worth reaching out to him, I thought he said yesterday, and I could be misremembering, that he was doing it with you tomorrow when he talked about his stuff coming up this week. So
okay. I mean,
I could be misremembering
that. Yeah, so I don't know his plans. Maybe he might have a different plan for
either that or he thinks he's messaged you.
Yeah, so if he sends me a message, I'll go there, me and Baggett. But if he doesn't send me a message, I'll be doing the Champions League on my channel. And after that, on Thursday, I will be back with, of course, my new show, and it's called Footy Charts with my guy, my friend, my brother. Yeah, another Josh again. Yeah,
No,
and
nice.
I hope you've got that show. It's called Footy Fact. Footy
I
Fact.
don't think I've seen
Straight
it.
Footy Fact with Josh. It's a new show I started like about 3 weeks ago, and the guy's been, he's been good. He's been okay. So and to be nice, and again, he's a Nigerian brother, but he's also British also.
Oh, nice.
It would be nice to do a joint show. There'll be times we might have to do a joint show together just to spice things up and cause a little chaos here and there. And it would be very nice to do a joint show one of these days. Maybe on one of these days that we don't have to do our shows together on a separate day. Yeah, so we might have to come together for that one.
Yeah,
I think our styles, 3 of us, it will match quite well. So that one. So I'll be having that on Thursday. On Friday, I might be going to Northside's channel to deal with Deji Spores, the deluded Tottenham Hotspur fan. Yeah, Deji Spores. Yeah, I mean, I might have a few words to discuss with him. Mostly now that Tottenham Hotspur is looking like they're gonna, get relegated. I don't know what you Dom. Yeah, do you think they're getting relegated? You're gonna let me know after I finish.
My gut feeling is no.
Who are we playing this weekend?
I don't know who they've got this weekend. Actually, West Ham have got City. Tottenham have got Liverpool. Liverpool. I'm sure it's Liverpool. Let me check. I'm sure they got Liverpool.
No. Who do we have this weekend?
Oh, we have Everton.
I think it's Everton.
We've got Everton. Yeah, sorry, I thought you meant Spurs. Spurs have got Liverpool. Yeah.
Yeah. We've got Liverpool. Oh my God, they're gonna lose that one too. They're gonna lose that one too. Oh my days. So that's what I got coming up, people. So, and of course, in between also, probably on Thursday night, also after the show with Josh, I'll be back with my arch nemesis. Yeah, Mark MUFC on our show together, people. You have to check that one. The Red Divide, Manchester United versus Arsenal. So check us out on Thursday for that one. And yeah, that's what I got coming up. And people, subscribe to Arsenal Domination when you have the chance to. And of course, me and my brother Dom will be back here next week. Dom, is Tottenham Hotspur going to get relegated this season?
Hopefully. I mean, my gut feel is it'll be Forest. But Leeds is trying to get stuck back in.
But really? Dom, I didn't really see you doing that, bro.
But do you know what though? It would be funny as hell if Spurs went down, and it could happen because they're playing really badly. They've got no clue what they're doing. Like this new guy, is worse than the old guy. Like Tudor, honestly, Igor Tudor is the worst Tudor since King Edward VI. That's how bad he is.
Oh my days! Man, I'm sticking in the brick. Oh my days!
It's a history joke for you guys, don't say I don't raise the tone.
Exactly,
bring
man.
In culture. But
exactly, man. He's a horrible manager. Horrible manager, bro. You would have just kept Thomas Frank down there and sent him away end of the season and bring in a Pochettino. Now Pochettino is now linked to that Real Madrid.
This guy's a gold member. I mean, yeah. But the players aren't up for a fight. The fans aren't up for it either. The whole club's a mess. It could happen. It could happen. I was saying to Sparks last week from Footy Corner, honestly, if Arsenal have got the season wrapped up and we go to Palace on the last day of the season, we've already won the title. I will throw that game if it means Spurs going down. I'll take a 10-0 defeat. Don't care.
Just to make them pay for what they did to us last season, right? The shameless fans were dancing and happy to actually throw the game away to Man City, and now look at it now. Yeah.
But that said, there is no scenario where I would say we don't win X trophies for Spurs to go down. No, Spurs can stay up if it means we win the trophy. That us winning is more important than what happens to them. But if we were to lose the first game and still win a trophy, and the Spurs went down, I can live with that.
Yeah, I
But
can't live with that, bro. But
us winning is
again,
more.
to be very sincere with you, I still feel we need one or two. You know, sometimes it's good to have some enemy down there. Yeah, there's someone you could stunt on at the same time. Yeah, when you know,
we can
I
do it to
mean,
Chelsea
Tottenham
instead.
Hotspurs are that those kind of people you would like to just keep around, and you know they can't hurt you. You know they can't harm you. You know, just keep them around. You know, just to just to stunt on them. That's just it.
Oh, we've got Chelsea for that. Don't you worry.
Ah, okay. Oh my days, people. Arsenal domination. Go subscribe to the channel, right? See, Dom. I'll catch you next week, my guy. Catch you next week.
See you
bro.
later, mate.
See you later. From me and Dom, people, we are out. Catch you guys soon. Peace.